I had no idea you guys actually have a studio here at the factory.
Yeah, we do. State-of-the-art studio, Neve desk, every amp that we've ever made.
Wow.
I think it's time to try out some amps. You ready?
Yes, let's go inside.
Let's do it.
All right. How do we get in?
All
right,
let's do it.
Hi everybody, I'm Dweezil Zappa and I'm here in Marshall's state-of-the-art studio in their headquarters in Milton Keynes, UK. And today I'm going to try out as many Marshall amplifiers as I possibly can, probably 4 at a time on a switcher so I can A/B them. Now, first one that I want to try is this white one right here. Do you know what it is? I've never even seen one of these out in the wild. It's the Randy Rhoads signature model. I'm pretty excited to hear it. He was one of my favorite guitar players, known for having a very, very cool sound, sometimes a very bright sound, but that could have come from the Altec speakers in his cabinets. But anyway, let's see what this one sounds like just as it is, and then I might tweak some knobs. What's your go-to thing when you test an amp? For me, I like to do a couple of sort of chord dyad things and move them around, and then I like to turn the volume down, see if the amp cleans up, see how the guitar reacts. So let's try that a little bit right now. So this sound is not quite a Randy Rhoads sound yet to my ear. First thing that I've noticed is the amp itself has a lot of distortion, but not as much distortion as he used. So he must have boosted it with some other pedals. But just straight out of the gate, just a regular G chord. It's got a cool vibe. It's almost a Ritchie Blackmore kind of sound right there. But let's try to do a little guitar lick, something like this. That's definitely got a Randy feel to it, but it needs more push. So he probably used that MXR Distortion Plus to get a little bit more over the edge. But while I was playing that, I was thinking, well, I held the pick like Randy did, but what if I held it like Edward? Does it sound different just by picking? Let's see. Didn't quite play it as well, but I think it did sound different. I'll have to roll back the tape myself and see. But I also wonder if I could get a little bit more gain out of it to get closer to the Randy feel. How about if I try this? It's kind of got a little bit more of a Randy vibe to it. You know, I might play something else that's similar to a riff you might know. It's closer. This definitely has the vibe that he goes for, but I think he used a lot more pedals in front of his amp than I currently have here. And I really like the sound of the amp so far. It does have a super rock feel to it. But even with as much gain as it has, I bet I could get some pretty cool neck position clean sounds. All right, so far so good. Let's move on to the next amp. All right, let's try out the JCM 800 modified. This one is modified because it has some special switches. You can filter out some frequencies, you can get a little bit more gain, but it still has the same cool vibe as the old school 800. But I think this goes a little further in the direction of clarity, and I'm gonna try to find out if it gets close to a Van Halen style sound. But let me try the first things I always like to do, which is just a couple of chords and hear how it cleans up. It does clean up very nice. I'm getting kind of like early live-ish Van Halen, where he had the wireless pack, which made his guitar even brighter. So it's super bright at the moment, but it has a good feel to it. It's really kind of stringy is the word I would say. Like you could really hear the pick on the string on the frets. It's really alive sounding. And it does clean up. I really like the sound of this version of the amp. There's more to do though, so let's try out some other amps and then we'll do some more comparisons. What should we do next? How about the Yngwie amp? All right, behind me we have the Yngwie J. Malmsteen signature Marshall amplifier. Not to be confused with all the other Yngwies, especially not Yngwie L. Malmsteen, who's a dentist. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this amplifier has special things in it. It has a reverb. It also has a boost circuit, which is a preferred distortion path that Yngwie loves. And it has a gate to make it more quiet because it can get a little hissy and screechy if you're not too careful. So let's give it a try. I'm gonna go ahead and play some standard things that I like to test with, just clean-ish chords, just to see how it sounds before it's full on. All right, here we go. So far, so good, but you can hear the gate clean it up. It also has a little bit of reverb on it. So let's see what it sounds like as I get it more spiced up. Full on volume now. I like it. I can't really play much like Yngwie because he's really, really good with the speed picking. I'm not so good at that. But let's hear if it has a little bit of character, even from someone like me who cannot play like him. It really does actually have an Yngwie vibe to it. I can't do that stuff, but that almost sounded like Yngwie to me, just a little tiny bit. So I would say straight out of the gate, this amp has a lot of cool things that I'm not so used to in some other Marshall amps. It's got a different texture when you play, but you could probably set it a lot of different ways and turn the gain down and get some other kind of sounds out of this thing. Maybe some Ritchie Blackmore type of stuff, because I know Yngwie likes him some Ritchie Blackmore. Well, I think there's another amp I'd like to try, and it is the Super Lead 100 modified. Let's go to that next. All right, this next one is Marshall's newest take on the Super Lead 100 watt. It's modified. It has some very cool features. You can change some of the clipping circuit, and you can filter out some of the low end, and you have the ability to get the standard stuff, the classic sounds, but you also have a little bit more control over the volume. It has a master volume. So let's see what it sounds like. I think this one is a little bit more in the world of Jimi Hendrix, maybe AC/DC. It's not super gainy, but you could always throw a fuzz pedal on there if you wanted to go a little further. I'm just gonna play some stuff that's normal, like I've been doing, where I can hear what the guitar does when it cleans up. What I like about it is you can get very clean, chimey tones, but they feel better than, for me anyway, than playing through like a Fender clean. A Fender clean can sound great, but the feel of this is a little bit more spanky, and your volume knob, it lets you get all the way from super clean to super crunchy much easier than other amplifiers, which is what everybody loves about a Marshall anyway. So let's just try some of that. It's definitely got a Hendrix vibe there. But now let's try it with something a little bit brighter. I'll use the humbucker and see what it does. I like it. It's got the AC/DC thing happening a little bit, but I just feel like you could do a lot with rhythm and lead, and it would work well with pedals. So I like this new version a lot, but we have so many other amps to try and test and compare. So let's get to the next set. All right, I have 4 new amps to try, and I wish I had all day to play all of these, but I'm gonna go through them as fast as I can, give you my feelings about each as I play them. The first one I'm going to show you right now is this one here, which has been marred by its former owner, the titular amp, the MKII, owned by Jeff Beck, signed for Jim Marshall. Let's see what this one sounds like. I've never played this amp before. I can't really play anything like Jeff Beck, but that's giving me Jeff Beck vibes. I don't know about you, but I love the sound of it straight out of the gate, and it probably cleans up very nice. Let's check. Yeah, very nice. I like it. Let's try the next one. All right, let's move on to amp number 2. This one is also a Jeff Beck amp. It's the JBM 30. It was made for Jeff as a prototype for a signature amp that never came out. But hey, guess what? We're going to hear it today, right here in the Marshall studio. Let me see what it sounds like. It's kind of my Jeff Beck style playing. It's nowhere near Jeff, but it's, in my world, similar. Now, I feel like this is a very cool amp. It's a quiet amp and probably good for playing with a band, but not super loud on a stage or in a club. So maybe they should put this thing out. I don't know. You let me know in the detailed comments here. Let's hear what it sounds like on a neck pickup. It cleans up, it does all the things that a Marshall does well, but it also has a special personality to it. I like this amp. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, another quick look at an amp. This one is the Jimi Hendrix model. It's this one right here. It's an MKII, and this is the JTM 45 style amp, which was the first step before getting to the super lead 100 watt. Now, a lot of players like Pete Townsend and Jimmy, they love these amps, but they also needed them to get louder, which is why the super lead was born after that. At least that's what I'm told by the people here at Marshall. They know about these things. All right, let's see what this sounds like. See, I love the sound of this thing. It doesn't have as much gain on its own. It needs the fuzz face to really go into the super Hendrix land, but the way that you can get the chimey rhythms, it's super clean when you have your volume just barely turned on. This guitar has something kind of fun in it. It has a sound that sounds just like an Octavia, but without any electronics. It's just the out of phase positions of the pickups. So it's got this. Ready? So it does have a good Hendrix vibe. I really like the sound of this one for rhythm and the personality of any kind of lead playing. I can see why Jimmy liked this amp. All right, let's play the last amp in this group. This one has a few things that are unique about it, including the look and the logo. Check it out. Here it is. It looks different than other Marshall amps. It's called the Astoria, and it's a custom version. Now, this one has this unique Marshall logo. I learned that they call it the coffin logo because Jim Marshall used to have this guy that had a business next door, which I guess was a mortuary, and they did engraving for tombstones. And sometimes they would make little logos that were always just a little bit different for Marshall. So some of them are very rare. The earliest amps had that coffin logo. Now, let's see what this sounds like. It's got a seriously high gain sound. I wonder what it's supposed to remind you of. I don't know what that reminds me of. Sounds pretty good though. I like it. It's got a good vibe. I could get into that amp. Maybe you could too. All right, let's see what's next. All right, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up my amp testing journey here at Marshall with a very unique piece from the museum. This right here is a Marshall 30-watt lead amplifier. It is not a tube amplifier, it's a transistor amplifier. I saw this thing and I thought, I bet that sounds super cool. And some people here were saying, I think we just pulled that out of the bin. This thing is very cool because of the size. Let's see what it sounds like. Here we go. It's definitely got a vibe. What I love is that every time I play, the red light sags. All right, let's see what it sounds like if I put the Sustainiac on with this guitar. Sounds great to me. I like it. You know, the thing is, I've played a lot of amps while I've been here, and what I've found is the vintage stuff and the new stuff all are very consistent. They all have the personality and the character that I love about the Marshall sound, the feel when you're playing it. And so it's confirmed for me, at least, as I have played through everything, that the new stuff feels and plays just as good as the old stuff. So, you know, you're gonna have a lot of people that won't agree with what I'm saying. But as I sat here and played it all, I didn't feel a huge difference at all between a vintage super lead versus the brand new ones that are coming out that are modded, that are so good. So I feel like you should give them a chance, listen to them, and don't worry if it's vintage or modern. It's still built really well, and it's hand built here in the UK. A lot of this stuff, I had no idea how much was handmade. So it was great to be able to walk the line and meet the people. And I think if you're into amplifiers, you gotta try these things out for yourself. Maybe one day you can come to Marshall and play through everything they have here. I wanna come back because there's so many more amps that I wish I could have played. But anyway, thanks to Marshall. And if you like this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. I will talk to you again very soon, because my Marshall amp visa has run out. Goodbye, everyone.